Hello, and welcome to another episode of Speak Film and Enter, a podcast where we review and rank movies. I'm Nate.
I'm Dylan.
And I'm Adam, and this is Griff.
It's only a matter of time before Griff bogarted his way onto the show.
Listen, he's got too much anxiety right now, so he's in my lap trying to
think it's fitting when we're talking about like one of the cutest movies ever made.
Yeah, I think you're really setting the tone here.
Yeah. Off of that, the movie that we're talking about that we will be reviewing today is Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, which I saw a couple of months ago, or back in April, I think, at the Minneapolis Film Festival, and these two finally saw yesterday.
Yesterday. Yep, it's still in limited.
Wonderful, yeah, still limited.
Showing in 3 theaters, but is it due for a wider release? Because I feel like this could be a low key hit of the summer.
Oh, yeah. I think it was supposed to come out or it came out near us at some of like the local small theaters, like indie theaters, and then we went to an AMC. So it got a release at like an AMC theater. So
wider release Thursday the 21st.
Okay, nice. Okay.
Yeah. Good. So maybe I'll see that again this weekend.
Yeah. But yeah, so Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. If you haven't heard of it, Adam, do you want to tell the good folks what it's about?
It is the feature adaptation of the animated short film interviewing a mollusk named Marcel. It should note that this was a YouTube video, like a 2-minute and 30-second YouTube video from 2011. So it's an 11-year-old YouTube video that was 2 minutes that was turned into an hour and a half. Feature length film. Featuring the same people that were in the original. Jenny Slate is the voice of Marcel. And then Dean Fleischer-Camp is the interviewer in this one. He's also kind of a voice in the original video.
And he's also the director.
Yep.
Yeah.
And writer. So
one of the writers.
Yeah.
So very, I guess if you haven't heard of it, it's a shell with shoes on who is an inch tall. And we follow him on his day in his little, slice of life, what his life is like. And then, we find out that he had a big family, but they were moved and he doesn't know where they are. So that's kind of the big drama as he tries to, use the internet or people he knows to try to find his family, his community of shells. And it's just adorably simple. I feel like is a good way to describe this movie.
I would say you don't need to have watched the YouTube video going in.
I hadn't,
but I think it's like it sets the right tone. I mean, they reuse some of the jokes at the very beginning from the video, and I think that's a nice little like tip of the cap to the people who were, who watched it when it came out. This for us, this came out when we were I think freshmen or sophomores in college.
Yeah.
So because I remember when it came out and being like, oh my god, this is the dumbest, most adorable thing of all time.
Yeah, I remember this coming out in college, and I'm so glad that you guys finally were able to see this because I've been wanting to talk to people about this movie.
Oh my god,
for like 3 months.
I can't imagine seeing this way ahead of everyone else because you just need to talk about it with somebody.
Yeah, I will say I didn't see it alone. I mean, I didn't go with anybody I knew, but it was a packed theater.
Okay,
it was pretty full too.
Completely full at the largest screen at the Main in Minneapolis.
Nice,
and it was so fitting too, because one of the central themes of the movie is about community and connecting with people. And it really fits well, not solely as this, but it fits well like as pandemic art.
Yeah.
And
there was a vibe to that.
It was so fitting to see this in a sold out theater with people laughing the entire way through and just being able to feel that again, because comedies are always better when you're watching them with people. Just when there's more people laughing, you feed off that energy, and it's shared laughter and humor, and it's so much better. And so I couldn't tell right away if I just loved this movie simply because of the feeling of being surrounded by all of this, which I do think that added to the experience, but I also think this is just a phenomenal movie.
Yeah.
I've talked a lot on this podcast about how much I love the Paddington movies, particularly Paddington 2. And it's just like one of the sweetest, most adorable things ever made. And Marcel the Shell with Shoes On is right up there with it.
Agreed. It's funny you mentioned the theater experience because we went together last night and our theater, like everybody was laughing. We had a couple loud people behind us that were laughing, but other than that, the theater was dead silent. It was the weirdest thing. Like we would go to grab like popcorn and you could actually just hear someone like reaching for one kernel. It was like, why is no one else? Like, why is there not more noise? Like this theater is full. We should have more ambient noise. But everybody laughed at everything. So it was a weird dichotomy, but it was.
Yeah. We went with two fellow film connoisseurs, and I felt like right from the beginning we were holding down the laughter, and then there were a couple other people that did, and then like as it got, I felt like the audience just needed like 5 to 10 minutes to kind of like wrap their head around what this was going to be.
Mm-hmm. I think,
and then once they did, like everyone was having a good time, and that's why I feel like, you know, if this is the first time you're hearing this movie, I feel like we almost need to go into a little more detail of just kind of like what it is.
I was just going to say that if you're not familiar, and this is kind of to Adam's point, not that you need to watch the original YouTube video to understand what happens in this movie, but if you're curious and want to kind of test out if you think you might like this, check out the YouTube video. It's like 5 minutes long or 3 minutes or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And that's what this movie is, just more of that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a nice little preview where you can see, am I going to like this or not? Is this style of humor for me? And it's just this little itty bitty shell with an eye.
Mm-hmm. And shoes.
We can show Dylan's background right here. Yeah.
And shoes. Oh yeah, there it is. For those of you who are watching on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And Marcel is a child and lives with his grandmother. They're the only two shells remaining. Like Dylan said, they all kind of got moved out. And they've done what I think is a clever thing where the house, the original owners moved out and the house is now an Airbnb.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So a lot of this is seen through the eyes of the guy they're staying at the Airbnb after a divorce. And that is Dean Fleischer-Camp. That's the director of the movie.
And he's filming it like with his documentary style. So it is like, you know, handheld camera, shaky cam. It's kind of meant to be like home video style, but also there's practical effects for what the shell does. And even like a little bit of CGI, just a tiny bit with like some of the insects. But like visually, it's just the scale is so small, but it works. Like I didn't know how they were going to pull that off. Like I didn't know if it was just going to all be documentary style or like some of it documentary, but then some of it like, you know, like a film, like more classic, what you'd expect.
Right.
But they're able to get amazing, memorable shots with just like the handheld camera deal. And that's kind of the whole thing. And then, so you get a lot of, what is his name? Dean or what's the character's name?
Ooh,
I think it's
great
Dean.
Question.
I think in the movie it's supposed to be Dean. Yeah, it's just Dean. The important note too, or not important note, but so Jenny Slate voices Marcel, and they were actually Dean, the director, and Dean were married.
And Jenny Slate.
Jenny Slate were married to each other. So like Dean and whatever. So when he's like going through the divorce, it's like about like them sort of, which is just interesting. But you know, it's
So the premise is kind of he discovers Marcel and his grandmother living there, and then it's kind of just like interviewing them and asking them about like who they are and what they do and how they live and everything. And then they eventually finds out that like their family's gone, and he makes this YouTube video interviewing Marcel, kind of a call out to anybody know where my family is. He becomes an internet sensation, and then it kind of ensues from there as this big adventure to find Marcel's family.
Yeah. Which I thought that like for what this movie is, it's like a simple plot, but it's effective. I think simple but effective is almost like the slogan for this whole movie. It's a lot of quiet little moments. The comedy is very strong, but it's kind of like sometimes it's like awkward comedy because like he's a shell, and then sometimes it's like practical comedy, like, you know, something happens, and sometimes it's like, I don't know, like they're just like good banter back and forth, but there's also like philosophical moments. Like Marcel the Shell he's a child, but he also is mature, and like he goes back and forth between like saying something that like a wise old man would say, where you're like, damn, like that's real heavy
life.
But then also saying something that's just like a kid would say. Like he goes back and forth, and you never really know what's going to come out of his mouth, and it makes it really interesting and engaging. I
find that believable because he's been living not on his own, but he's been much more self-sufficient than a child should have to be. Also, the way they present it is a lot of it's not like Marcel doesn't think he's imparting wisdom.
No,
he's just talking.
He just says, like, isn't this how this should work? Or, you know, shouldn't we just do things this way? And that's where it comes from, because it's just obvious and the only way to live or to be to Marcel. And that's where some of those work really well, because he's not talking like he's not passing himself off as like a wizened old man. He's just got a very like, well, yeah, why would anybody do anything else?
Very clear-eyed view of the world.
Yes.
It's a different perspective.
And it's never occurred to him that somebody like wouldn't be kind.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing.
Well, and his background coming from like the community, his 20 shell family, like that's where that all comes from. So like he's always centered around like I should be providing something for my family, and obviously they're not here right now, so I'm providing for myself. But like I want to find my family again. So I think that's where I mean, you look at, I guess we'll bring up, and this isn't a political movie by any stretch of the imagination, but like I feel like some of that sentiment is lost, and I feel like in America, and that's why this movie hits that important note, and it's so importantly stated in this movie. Like it's always about everybody else, it's always about others, and it's that's the heartbeat of this movie, and like why we haven't, like what we need. It's what we need right now.
And he has a legitimately like nice, well written, like strong relationship with his grandma, and I feel like that was
Isabella Rossellini,
and I felt like all that was done really well. Like, you know, it's like
gather around the TV and watch Leslie Stahl.
Yep.
Nana, do the noise.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, that got me. That was so genius. There's a lot of little things I don't want to ruin, but
I was just gonna say it's another area where this movie shines and where a lot of the humor comes from, which we don't want to spoil. But this movie is insanely creative.
Yeah,
I mean, this is something that I think a sort of base level kind of, that was cute and kind of clever, could be made, but a version of this could be made by a lot of people. But first off, like the themes and just being able to tie this to community the way that they did so well. And then just the imagination and the creativity for the world that these 1-inch shells create for themselves in this house, and how they live and how they survive and how they move around. Like just one little example I will give people, because I don't want to spoil any more of these, but like there's just a broken jar of honey on the kitchen floor at all times. And whenever they need to like climb up onto the cabinets or like walk up the wall or like up the window or anything, they just walk over and step their feet in the honey, and then their shoes stick and they walk up the wall.
Yep.
And there's a lot of stuff like that. And that's where a lot of the humor comes from. And sometimes it's not laugh out loud humor, but it's just kind of, you chuckle at how clever and then like adorable it is to watch, the ingenuity, and how cute it is to just watch them execute some of this stuff. And it's just, if I wasn't laughing or crying during this movie, I was just smiling the entire way through.
Right. It just makes you think and appreciate it. It's exceedingly clever, like in all the little gadgets and just the way that they live, and the clever moments that he kind of throws it back at Dean. You know, like it's not like there's enough back and forth, and you get to know just enough of Dean where you feel like he's a real person with like flaws, and you know, like they're really friends. I thought that was pulled off well. I just thought, like I said, like 10-15 minutes in, I was thinking like, if the whole movie is going to be this, I'm not worried, but I was like, how are they going to make this
work? How can it sustain itself?
They can't keep making more and more improvements.
It can't just be funny, cutesy jokes. Like,
you need something, like you need narrative momentum.
Yeah. And they find that just enough where it's simple, and also more like this movie just like knows what it is.
Yes.
Like it doesn't try to outdo itself. It finds its niche and it just lives right in that little niche, and like lots of little touching moments that make you maybe not laugh out loud, but just smile and be like, wow, I don't know who thought of that, but that's really great. So honestly, I mean, we all liked it, and I've been trying to think of like kind of knocks on it, just because like, and for me, I guess it's really just kind of like just the built-in really small scale of everything and kind of the simplicity. Like, I don't know, like for some people that might limit it a little bit, but I feel like what it set out to do, it totally pulled off, like at every turn. Like, I don't know. How did you guys feel about that? Was there something that didn't work for you?
Not really, no. But I guess when I think about comparing this, like I already had to like the Paddington movies, and Paddington 2, which I have as a 5-star movie and is now like one of my favorite movies ever. And it doesn't quite reach that. And that's that Paddington 2 does something where it sets up so many things and has a third act with like perfect payoff after perfect payoff after perfect payoff. And that's something where I think, and that's just where this is, I'm splitting hairs.
We're nitpicking now, but yeah.
Absolutely. This isn't a flaw so much as it's just like an area where it doesn't necessarily excel.
It's also not set up to do that.
That's what I mean. Is that where it's getting, I'm kind of like tipping my hand at what score I'm going to give this, but that's not really a problem. But that's the difference between like getting all the way up to a 5-star movie for me versus something that falls like just short, which is still magnificent.
I was going to say, me and Adam were talking about like, what other movies have you, like, I think this is one of the most unique films I've ever seen. Like, what other movies have you seen that even gave you kind of this feeling? And the only ones I could think of were other animated movies, like Mary and Mac, or like It's Such a Beautiful Day.
That one. Yes.
Okay.
It made me think of, just because also that started as internet shorts. Not that they're really anything alike stylistically or thematically or anything really, or tonally, but it did kind of remind me of that sort of different style of animation, being able to be free of like the studio constraints on what the expectations for an animated family geared movie are.
Yeah.
And just be free to be as creative as you possibly and imaginative as you possibly can. And it reaches heights that a lot of them can't, because it is able to color outside the lines a little bit and kind of forge its own path.
Yeah.
And it's Such a Beautiful Day was the kind of the first thing that came to mind for me as far as something just being this unique and its own thing.
Yeah.
And kind of stepping outside the norms of the animation genre.
I would agree with that. Yeah. But yeah, very unique. And that's why I got to give it props, you know. It's like, especially as we get more and more just, you know, repetitive, intellectual property, you know, regurgitated. It's just like so nice to see something that's completely its own thing.
Yeah. If anybody ever complains to you again about like Marvel is just the same thing over and over
it's all
again,
just Marvel.
Hollywood doesn't make anything. Like, all right, go fucking watch Marcel the Shell and enjoy yourself for an hour and a half. Like, just shut up about like that dumb argument. Like, go watch something original.
Yeah. Like, another one I'd mention. I don't know if you guys have seen this, and this is, I think, an R-rated animated movie, but Anomalisa.
I haven't seen it, but I've seen it.
Which is a Charlie Kaufman movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like stop motion with puppets. Okay. And it's great. I think you two would both really enjoy it, especially because we've talked about some other Charlie Kaufman movies we really like on here before. Yeah. But that's another one that just kind of is definitely its own thing.
Okay.
Yeah. And I guess because it is, you know, a small scale, quiet, simple movie, and we've kind of talked about everything that we liked about it, I guess, is there really any much more that we want to discuss without giving away spoilers? I mean, I hope that we've convinced anybody watching to go check this out.
I just want to, I don't want to mention any more specifics or anything else. People should just experience this movie as fresh as they can. Hopefully we've, like you said, convinced people that they should absolutely go watch this movie.
Yeah, my final point would be, like I kind of said at the beginning, I feel like this has cult classic or even just like a kind of underdog hit written all over it. Like, this is the type of movie that I feel like once it gets a wide release, people are going to start talking about it, and it's going to find its audience and be beloved by that audience.
I think this is going to be one of those movies that a very large section of the movie viewing population like desperately wants to get a Best Picture nomination.
Yes, right.
I think it's going to get a big push.
I would call this the dark horse.
It's so indie and so small that I don't think it will. But it should, from what I've seen so far, and it should absolutely get a nomination for Best Animated Feature.
Oh, I mean, that could almost be a slam dunk. I mean,
Yeah,
we'll see what
it's
else
like
comes out, but
this movie is exactly what I think people like want to make movies about, or like want to make movies for. It's when people go like, oh, I want to go make a movie, not just to make money. Like I want to go express myself artistically. Like this is exactly what you're looking at. So when it comes time for award season and those types of conversation are getting thrown around, it's like, well, then you want the purest form of artistry. You want this movie to be nominated for something, definitely best animation. I would say, I mean, there's 10 best picture nominations. This is, in my opinion, the best movie of this year so far.
Like, I also think
Adam
this
said that right
reminded
after we
me.
watched it. Right after we watched
like,
out of the theater, he's like, best movie of the year so far.
Like it's everything distilled that like Hollywood wants to be. This is.
Yeah, I also think if you liked Bo Burnham's Inside,
I was gonna say this has vibes of that, like towards the beginning. Like there's a lot of like almost like
and
a
just the themes of it too. I think it fits very well, and also just kind of the raw creativity and energy and just do it yourselfness.
Yes. Yes. I mean, I've talked about that special at length on this show and brought it up all the time. So like this is right in my wheelhouse. I think it's the bee's knees.
I'm so glad you guys saw this and liked it.
Yeah. Seriously, I can't believe you've just been sitting on this.
I've had to sit on this movie for so long. Like 3 months.
Should we pause quick for some star ratings?
Yeah.
All right, we'll be right back.
All right. I'll go first because it'll be pretty quick. I'm giving this a 4.5 out of 5. It is fantastic. It's just great. And with what we always learn with a well executed, like if it's an animated movie or just something really different like this, sometimes the best perspective and way to think about like yourself and like, you know, human life is through something that isn't human going through the same shit. And it's just like the perspective of this little 1-inch shell will make you think about your own life and be like, oh yeah, I should maybe appreciate these things more, or I should really not stress about this thing or whatever. It's just never fails. But again, it's just so effective. So 4.5 out of 5 for me.
I will go next. I am also giving this a 4.5 out of 5. I have it as my number 3 movie of the year and my number 38 animated movie of all time.
Okay.
Wow. Nice.
That was a very good Owen Wilson there.
Wow.
Yeah. Very, very nice.
Wow. Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I felt like I was going to build off what you just said, and now I can't remember what it was. But yeah, you just
the idea of showing humanity through inanimate things or through.
Oh yeah, I was going to say maybe we should do a movie where we list like the 5 cutest movie characters or something.
It could be a list.
Yeah.
Yeah,
most adorable movie characters or something.
Inspired by Marcel the Shell, top 5 all-time adorable movie characters.
Yeah, I think that'd be a fun thing to go through. But yeah, phenomenal movie. Everybody should go see it.
Yeah. So now for me, you know, we just put on the break for the stars, and it says 4.5 fantastic, 5 stars masterpiece. And I think there's nothing else that says masterpiece like Marcel the Shell with shoes on.
Awesome. This is our first 5-star of the year, I think.
This is definitely my first 5-star of the year.
I haven't given one.
I don't know about the podcast itself.
There you go, Adam.
Okay.
Look at that. We made it to July.
Yeah, we made it to July. Made it 6 months. I identified with this movie a lot. We talked about Bo Burnham stuff. We talked about, I mean, there's the emotional beat in this movie hit myself especially hard, and my contemporary that I was with especially hard, based on the type of quarantine that we had and the events that happened during quarantine. Not to talk about myself too personally, or not talk about the movie and just
there he goes again.
But this you know, so
you threw him off, Dylan. Way to go.
I mean, that just kind of bothered me, but there's also something that was said by the director that said, if an object is neglected long enough, it develops a spirit of its own, which I think is Marcel and all of the other creatures towards the end that we encounter. I just think everything about this is perfect. There's adult humor, there's child humor, there's inventiveness, ingenuity, everything that you thought like, oh, I'm super clever about this, or I'm very smart in the way I wrote this story or did this thing when you were in school. Everything you've ever thought of that's creative is distilled into this movie, and it's put into this hour and a half, just little adorable thing. And I think it's just the best thing I've seen in a long time.
And it's heartwarming, and it pulls off the emotional moments. I mean, it definitely pulls at the heartstrings a little bit. And if, I wouldn't be surprised at all if, a tear or two was shed, because it's just, you come to just really like Marcel and you want him to be happy. And yeah, it's just what it gets done with so little. Less is more. I mean,
absolutely, less is more.
Really proves that to be true.
It's
there we go.
It's so freaking funny too. It's just every single moment is like, there's another one. There's so it's
in
just
case we didn't properly build up how funny this movie is. I'm glad Adam kind of put the exclamation mark on that at the end. It's hilarious.
It's perfect. So 5 for me.
All right. Excellent.
Awesome.
First 5-star of the year from Adam. Yeah.
This
Marcel,
is our first, I think, really big, universally loved movie amongst the three of us.
Yeah, I mean, I think I wasn't on for the Top Gun Maverick, and I think that as far as universally loved, everybody loves it, and that movie also knew what it was. But I mean, talk about polar opposites. Talk about the scale and just everything. I mean, wow, and I appreciate that we can appreciate both. We can go and see Top Gun Maverick and have a good time, and then we can go and see Marcel the Shell and have a great time.
We can go find the indie darling A24 and be like, "Ooh, show me another one."
Of course, A24 bought this too.
Yeah. I know, right? Of course.
It's got to add to their catalog.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Well, I think it's my turn to put a wrap on the show.
I think you got it.
Go for it.
All right. Bill dropped his keys on the counter and stood there staring at them, suddenly thinking about all the times he'd thrown his keys there before and how many days of his life were wasted repeating the same tasks and rituals in his apartment over and over again.